Hello to all. Today I am going to discuss model analysis. It is one of the essential diagnostic aids in orthodontics and it is done on the study models that we make before making diagnosis of the patient. Model analysis is doing measurements or calculations on the study models to find out various parameters like arch length tooth material discrepancy, whether the patient can be treated by extraction or non-extraction, or to check whether expansion is possible in the dental arch or not. The study model provides a three-dimensional view of the maxillary and mandibular dental arches in all three planes of space, that is sagittal, vertical, and transverse planes. Model analysis allows us to carefully examine several parameters such as dentition, jaw relationships, and make objective measurements for detailed evaluation and treatment planning. It also helps in detecting midline discrepancies. Requisites of study model: it should accurately reproduce all the teeth and soft tissues without any distortion, should be trimmed symmetrical on either side. Posterior surface should be trimmed such that when placed on their back, they should reproduce the occlusal plane, should reproduce the alveolar process as much as possible. About parts, two parts are there. One is anatomic portion, second is artistic portion. Anatomic portion consists of the actual impressions of the dental arch and its surrounding structures, that is, teeth and recorded vestibular depth in the impression. Artistic portion is made with the help of base former. It consists of the plaster base that supports the anatomic portion and helps in analyzing the occlusion and orientation of the study models. The ratio of the anatomic portion to the artistic portion should be 3:1. According to ABO guidelines, base of the maxillary cast is trimmed parallel to the occlusal plane. Upper and lower cast base should be parallel to each other from the lateral view. Requirements of study model analysis: well prepared study models, vernier calipers, divider, ruler, 0.033-inch soft brass wire. It is done both in permanent as well as in mixed dentition. For permanent dentition, analysis are Pond's analysis, Linder-Harth analysis, Korkho's analysis, arch perimeter analysis, Gary's analysis, Ashley-Ho's analysis, Bolton's analysis. In mixed dentition, Hakaba's mixed dentition analysis, also known as the radiographic method, Moyer's mixed dentition analysis, Tanaka and Johnston analysis, Ness mixed dentition analysis. Now, first of all, Pond's analysis. Pont in 1909 proposed a method of determining the ideal dental arch width in premolar and first molar area based on the sum total of mesodistal widths of maxillary incisors. According to Pont, there is a relation between sum of incisors, interpremolar width, and intermolar width for an ideal well-aligned arch. He suggested that the ratio of combined upper incisor width to the transverse arch width was ideally 0.80 in premolar area and 0.64 in the molar area. He also suggested that the maxillary dental arch should be expanded 1 to 2 millimeters more during the treatment to avoid relapse, that is the overcorrection. And it helps in determining whether a dental arch is narrow or is normal in the premolar and molar region for a given sum of widths of incisors, determining the need for lateral arch expansion, determining how much expansion is possible at the premolar and molar regions. Manual measurements are determining the determination of sum of incisors, that is, uh, take mesodistal widths of all the incisors and they are summed up. Then determination of measured premolar value. It is done from distal pit of first premolar to the distal pit of first premolar on the other side. Determination of measured molar value. It is taken from mesial pit of first molar to the mesial pit of first molar on the other side. And these all measurements are done on the study model with the help of divider and scaler. And these all are the manual measurements. Then we check for the ideal values according to the Pound's formula. That is calculated premolar value and calculated molar value. For calculated premolar value, the formula is sum of incisors into 100 by 80. Calculated molar value is sum of incisors into 100 by 64. Now after doing measurements on the cast and calculations with the Pound's formula, we would be having two values, each for interpremolar width and intermolar width. Then we compare measured premolar value with calculated premolar value and measured molar value with calculated molar value. If the measured value is less than the calculated value, then the arch is narrow for the given sum of incisors and expansion can be done in that case. But if the measured value is greater than the calculated value, it means the arch is already wider and there is no scope of expansion. Drawbacks of Pound's analysis: maxillary laterals are the teeth which are commonly missing. So for some of incisors, these teeth have to be there. If peg-shaped laterals are there, even we can't do this analysis because normal mesodistal dimension of peg-shaped lateral incisor is less. The analysis was done on French population and it does not take skeletal mal relationships into consideration. So this analysis, the Pound's analysis, helps us to find out whether we can perform any expansion procedure on the patient or not. Coming to Linderhart's analysis. Linderhart proposed an index very similar to that of Pound's analysis. There was only one difference. According to him, the ratio of sum of incisors to the interpremolar width is 85 instead of 80 which was used by Pound, but the calculated molar value was same. Rest of the analysis was same as that of Pound's analysis. Only this figure was changed in Linderhart analysis. Coming to Korkho's analysis, the foundation for this analysis is also same as that of Pound's analysis. Only difference is that it make use of Linderhart's formula to determine the ideal width in the premolar and molar regions. According to him, a relation between sum of incisors, interpremolar width, and intermolar width is there, as in Pound's analysis. But in addition to it, an ideal distance is also there between mid of incisors, from mid of incisors to the midpoint of interpremolar width. This perpendicular distance, and this should be ideal for a well defined arch. An increase in this measurement denotes proclination of the upper anterior teeth, while a decrease in this value denotes retroclined upper incisors. It's a standard chart for Korkho's analysis. For example, if we are having a sum of incisors 27, this is the ideal interpremolar width in that case, ideal intermolar width in that case, and 16 should be the perpendicular distance from the midpoint of incisors to the midpoint of interpremolar width. In this case, if the value is more than 16, for example 18 or 20, it will show proclination of anteriors. If the value is less than 16, like 12 or 14, it will show retroclined incisors. So up to here, Pound's analysis, Linderhart analysis, and Korkho's analysis, they tell us about the expansion process or expansion procedure possible in a patient or not. It tells us only about the expansion. Next analysis is arch perimeter analysis. This analysis tells us about the arch length tooth material discrepancy. It is done on the maxillary cast and two parameters are required, that is calculation of space required, second is calculation of space available. Now what is arch perimeter? It is a geometric dental arc formed by the teeth at their incisal or cuspal edges. Now determination of space required. All the teeth mesial to first molar, the mesodistal widths are calculated and they are summed up. That is from second premolar on one side to the second premolar of the other side. The mesodistal widths are taken and they are summed up. How to calculate space available? Brass wire is used. The brass wire is placed on the buccal cusp tips of the premolars and following that arc continue with the cuspid tip of canine and finally to the incisal edges of the incisors and continue in the same fashion on the other side of the dental arch. If the arch is well aligned, it is like this, starting from buccal cusp tips of premolars, cuspid tip, incisal edges of the incisors and following the same pattern in the other side. But if the incisors are proclined, then the wire is placed on the cingulum area of the incisors to get the actual uh, arch, arch size. If the incisors are retroclined, then the wire is placed labially on the incisors. Now we are having two values, amount of space available and amount of space required. The difference between the two will tell us about the discrepancy or availability of space in the dental arch. If tooth material is more than the arch length, it will indicate crowding in the dental arch. But if the tooth material is less than the space available, it will indicate spacing in the dental arch. So interpretation is, if discrepancy is around 0 to 2.5 millimeters, then simple procedures like proximal stripping can be done. But if the discrepancy of space is 2.5 to 5 mm, extraction of second premolar is indicated. If discrepancy is greater than 5 mm, then extraction of first premolar is indicated. Then coming to caries analysis, it is the same analysis as if arch perimeter analysis, but the terminology is different. If the analysis is done in the maxillary arch, it is known as arch perimeter analysis. If the analysis is done in the mandibular arch, it is known as caries analysis. And inference is same as that of arch perimeter analysis. Then coming to next analysis, Ashley-Hose analysis. As we have seen in the previous analysis, Pond's, Linderhart, Korkho's analysis tells us about whether arch expansion is possible or not. Arch perimeter analysis tells us about whether the case can be done by extraction or non-extraction. But Ashley-Hose analysis tells us about both the parameters, that is expansion as well as for extraction versus non-extraction. According to him, crowding of teeth to be the result of deficiency in the arch width rather than arch length. He found that relationship between the 12 teeth anterior to the permanent second molar and width of the dental arch in the first premolar region. This is usually done in the upper arch. First of all, determination of total tooth material, that is from first molar on one side to the first molar on other side. All the mesodistal widths are taken and they are summed up. Then determination of premolar diameter. What is it? Premolar diameter is calculated from buccal cusp tip of first premolar to buccal cusp tip of first premolar of the other side. Then determination of premolar basal arch width. It is calculated as from canine fossa of one side to the canine fossa of the other side. Now we are having three values: total tooth material, premolar diameter, and premolar basal arch width. Now the first inference is based on whether expansion can be done or not. If premolar basal arch width is greater than premolar diameter, it indicates arch expansion is possible. But if premolar basal arch width is less than premolar diameter, then arch expansion is not possible. Second inference was for extraction versus non-extraction. It is premolar basal arch width percentage. The formula is premolar basal arch width into 100 by total tooth material. Ideal value should be, or ideal percentage should be 44% in a well-aligned arch. If the percentage is 37 or less, it indicates need for extraction. If percentage is 37 to 44, it's a borderline case, that is between extraction and non-extraction. If percentage is 44 or more, straightaway it's a non-extraction case. Then coming to Bolton's analysis, when Bolton considered the ratio of tooth material of the maxillary arch to the mandibular arch, that is mesodistal width of upper and lower teeth by nature have predetermined proportions to maintain normal occlusal relationships. According to him, there is a proper proportion of tooth material in the maxillary and the mandibular arch. Any alteration in this balance will lead to improper intercuspation, overjet, or spacing. Bolton said that extraction of one or several tooth or teeth should be done according to the ratio of tooth material between upper and lower arch to get ideal overjet and overbite. The values which are required are sum of maxillary 12, that is mesodistal width from first molar on one side to the mesodistal width of first molar on other side are taken. Same for the mandibular arch. Then sum of maxillary 6, that is from canine to canine. Sum of mandibular 6, that is mandibular canine to canine. Then overall ratio. Overall ratio is from first molar to first molar. Anterior ratio, it is for canine to canine. To calculate overall ratio, the formula is sum of mandibular 12 into 100 by sum of maxillary 12. Ideally, the percentage should be 91.3 in ideal well-aligned arch. But if the overall ratio percentage is less than 91.3, it indicates maxillary tooth material excess. And if the percentage is more than 91.3, it indicates mandibular tooth material excess. Now, how much is the excess in maxillary arch or in the mandibular arch? That will be calculated with the help of these two formulas in millimeters. This is in percentage and these are in millimeters. How much excess is there? Then coming to anterior ratio from canine to canine, the formula is sum of mandibular 6 upon sum of maxillary 6 into 100. The ideal percentage is 77.2. If the percentage is less than 77.2, it indicates maxillary tooth material excess. And if the percentage is more than 77.2, it indicates mandibular tooth material excess. Then coming to mixed dentition analysis, the aims of mixed dentition analysis are to evaluate the amount of space available for the unerupted canine and premolars in the dental arch. Methods are, first is radiographic method, second is probability tables or charts, and third is the combination of the above, that is radiographic method plus probability chart or table method. First is Hokaba's analysis, also known as radiographic method. This analysis makes use of a radiograph and study model to determine the width of unerupted teeth. Advantages are it is easy, practical, and relatively accurate. Disadvantages are chances of distortion of radiographic image. IOPA is preferred over panoramic as they are more accurate. It is based on the principle that if we measure an object which can be seen both in radiograph as well as on a cast, then we can compensate for the enlargement of the radiographic image. For example, if we want to calculate actual width of unerupted premolar. This is the formula. First of all, we take actual width of the primary molar from the study model. The mesodistal width of the primary molar is measured from the study model. That is the actual width. Apparent width of the same molar is checked on the radiograph. It is measured. Then apparent width of the unerupted premolar. Again from the radiographic image it is measured. With the help of this formula we can measure the actual width of unerupted premolar as we are having these three values with us. Now coming to space available for the unerupted canine and premolars, it is measured on the study model. The mesodistal width of deciduous canine, deciduous first molar and deciduous second molar, they are measured and they are summed up. It will tell us amount of space available in the dental arch. The space required for unerupted permanent canine and premolar, they are measured from the radiographs. The difference between these two values will tell us the discrepancy or availability of space in the dental arch. Coming to Moyer's mixed dentition analysis, this analysis is based on the probability chart. It is based on the premise that there is a reasonably good correlation between the size of erupted permanent incisors and unerupted canines and premolars. Here the lower permanent incisors are measured and the mesodistal widths of unerupted permanent upper and lower canines and premolars is derived from the probability chart. The mandibular incisors are chosen for measuring as they are the first teeth to erupt in the mixed dentition period. Amount of space required is measured. The mesodistal dimension of all the four lower incisors are measured and they are summed up. Using the Moyer's probability chart, we find the mesodistal width of upper and lower canine and premolars. From this probability chart, we can check the mesodistal widths of canine and unerupted premolars. Then space available, this we check on the study model from the distal aspect of the lateral incisor to the mesial aspect of the first molar, first prominent molar. The space between these two teeth will tell us the amount of space available on the dental arch. Coming to Tanaka and Johnston analysis, they simplified the Moyer's 75% prediction table into a formula. According to them, the predicted width of maxillary canine and premolars is sum of mandibular incisors plus 11 divided by 2, and predicted width of mandibular canine and premolars is sum of mandibular incisors plus 10.5 divided by 2. Now recent advances in model analysis, first, that is cast analysis by e-models or 3D digital models. In this, the study models, they are scanned and digitized and are put into a computer software. The software automatically do the model analysis and it is more accurate. Advantages, they are more accurate, easy, more information on arch form, determine asymmetric arch, space analysis and rotations. So this is all about model analysis in permanent dentition and mixed dentition. Thank you.